What's going on? Hopefully everyone had a good day. I wanted to officially answer the question that I still get to this day sometimes in comments, the occasional DM, and that question is what happened to my TradeNet account and why I officially made that move over to Lightspeed, and I want to talk about that in detail today. All right, so for those watching who do know, I currently trade with Lightspeed, and for anybody watching who doesn't, I used to trade with TradeNet, and now I am currently with Lightspeed. Just to kind of go back, when I initially first started trading and like literally pushed the button for the first time, I had an account with Lightspeed. Everything was going all right. I mean, I was obviously trying to learn how to trade, so, just trying to go through that process. And then what happened was a kind of like a minor family emergency happened, and I had to yank all those funds out. So I no longer had an account to trade. And that's when I was like, oh shit, what do I do? Right? So like I feel like some people some people would maybe kind of quit under that circumstance, and I was like, I got to find another scenario. I want to continue to trade. This is something I want to do. Here's just a speed bump. What are my options? That's when I did a lot of digging online, and I ended up finding TradeNet. And then I ended up, getting an intro account, and then I eventually rolled up into, I had a little bit of profits, and then I took a little bit of my own money, and then I added that together, and I got the student account, and then I traded the student account for a while, and everything was great. The TradeNet platform was fantastic. It was a perfect scenario for me personally because it was a stepping stone that allowed me to continue to trade, continue to learn, and then as of about 2 months ago, I'm now back on Lightspeed. I was able to get that money back and then refund a PDT account. So there was just a hurdle in between that I had to take care of, and TradeNet fixed that hurdle for me. So I traded TradeNet for a bit, ended up pulling some money out. I took a few withdrawals, and everything was okay. And then what happened is I funded my Lightspeed account, right? My Lightspeed account was ready to go. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm back on the platform. This is great. I now want to move forward with trading stocks and not CFDs. And I can, and I'm good to go. Now I can set myself up for hopefully the long term and not have an issue with yanking money out again. But who knows? It could happen. But just, for now, moving forward on the right platform. And I really, really like Lightspeed. So what I did is I wired out the money from TradeNet. And the total amount I got my initial investment back and money on top of that. So I was profitable. So I had made money on my money. I got my investment money back and more. So I was kind of sitting there and I'm like, all right, well, I have that account. I also have my Lightspeed account. I don't necessarily want to trade a small account anymore because that's not what I want to do forever, and I don't want a profit share now that I have kind of consider it, my own business now because I have my own account. I don't have to profit share. The commission is still relatively cheap. I had essentially a free account, and I was playing with house's money. So what did I do? I said, all right, well, there's two things I can do. I can continue to dabble and trade and have it and bounce back and forth between both, which didn't make sense to me, or I could give it a go. I could take a few chances, and I could see if maybe I could pull out one more big return out of this and have one more big withdrawal and then call it a day. So I ended up trading 4,000 shares at a time, and I ended up blowing that account up. I didn't lose any of my money personally because remember I pulled that money out and more, so I made money. I was playing with house's money, but I ended up blowing that account up. And I'll be honest, when I did it, I didn't really want to talk about it. I was like, man, all right, well, I don't want to let people know that I did that because it was really stupid and blah blah blah. But now I'm at a point where I don't really give a shit. It doesn't really matter, and I want everyone who's been following my journey to know the real scenario. I had nothing to lose, and I took a little bit of a shot, right, to just see, all right, maybe I can get one lucky trade on massive share size and clip off a few grand and wire out, and then home run. Otherwise, this thing is going to go into the ground, and I brought it right into the ground. So at that moment, I was like, this is kind of, not a big deal. But it's funny how things always work out that now, after the fact, I look at it and I'm like, man, I kind of wish I had two accounts just to have it. Just because in case there is a stock that's a little bit sketchier to trade and I don't want to mess around on my Lightspeed account, that I can open up my TradeNet account and I can take a shot with it. So, I kind of had a plan as far as, giving it a go and potentially hitting a home run, but I didn't really think long term, which I find myself struggling sometimes, is not necessarily thinking long term. And long term, it would have been pretty awesome to have two accounts for on those days when maybe there's some crazy runner and I feel like all right, let me just trade this just to give it a go and at least be in it and not risk consider it my main business. I consider Lightspeed like my main real business, and I trade very conservatively, and it's just trying to do a ton of base hits and not really worry about getting rich. Whereas the tradenet account, I want a little bigger, more, the profits were bigger, but losses were bigger. So, it would have been nice to still have an account like that. So that way, because I know there's a lot of things running currently, I could at least mess around and be in them. But regardless, I don't have it. Sometimes you live and you learn. But I just wanted to let everybody know exactly what happened to that account, because I was kind of a little embarrassed to even discuss the scenario. And then I took a step back and I was like, why do I give a shit? It's my journey. I don't care what anybody thinks about my journey. And that was a decision that I made, and it happened. So now everybody knows what happened to the TradeNet account, so I can get that monkey off my back and not feel like I was at all hiding it from anybody, because there's no reason to care about what happened to it. And from here on out, it's Lightspeed, and it's focusing on trying to make this whole trading thing work while working on some other things in the process. But with that being said, if anybody has any questions about TradeNet or has any questions with Lightspeed, I've used both, so I'm slightly experienced with both. I'll happily, answer any questions. But otherwise, that's it for me, and I'll see you guys later.